Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're regular here, you know by now I review many photographic, audio and video related products. And if you're new here, well, that's exactly what I do. Now today we're looking at a lens that I recently purchased. I purchased a couple of weeks ago, and it is the Tamron 70-300 lens that we have here fitted to my Sony A7C. It's a Sony FE mount lens, so it is designed for the Sony full frame bodies, but it's quite at home on the Sony APS-C bodies, such as the 6500, 6600, 6100, whatever. If you're going to use it on an APS-C body, I would probably recommend the 6600 because of the image stabilization in that camera is pretty good. This lens does not have image stabilization. It relies on the image stabilization built into the body of the camera. So it's the newer Sony cameras really that have got image stabilization. The A7C certainly has. The A7R3, which I'll be using it on, I'll be doing a second review used on the A7R3. That's a great body. It's a 42 megapixel camera body. I do want to see how this lens holds up on a 42 megapixel camera body. Now, I have taken some sample images. I haven't taken many because the weather's been so lousy here in the UK. Not been able to get out and about much, but I've got some sample images on my Mac, which we're going to go through a few of them. But I'm also going to put a link to my Flickr page in the description below. I would strongly recommend you go to Flickr and have a look at them on there. The resolution will be better than seeing them on my YouTube channel because of YouTube's compression. So that's what I would recommend. So anyway, that's what we're going to be doing. We'll be having a look at them. Now this is the 70-300. It's a great telephoto lens for wildlife, sports, even portrait. And I really like this particular lens. Now they've made it compact, and I believe it is compact, even though it does trombone when you zoom out. As you say, quite a bit, it trombones quite a bit. But getting from 70 to 300 is pretty quick. It's not like turn and turn and turn. It's just one quick turn. So from that point of view, I think Tamron have done a really good design there. Don't take 2 minutes, well, don't take seconds to go full telephoto and zoom back in to 70 mil. So great from that point of view. But they made it compact in two ways. Firstly, the aperture range is F4.5 to 6.3. So it's not a beast in low light. And at the telephoto end, because it goes down to 6.3, it's cutting the amount of light coming through to the camera body. So you do need to maybe up the ISO a bit or reduce the shutter speed a bit. I wouldn't recommend reducing the shutter speed, certainly not with a telephoto lens, even though there is image stabilization in the camera. I would recommend increase the ISO. Shouldn't be a problem with the newer Sony cameras because they can handle higher ISO really well. But that's how they managed to reduce the size of the lens. Otherwise it'd be a big bulky lens and it'd be a heavy lens. I mean, this only weighs 545 grams, so there's no weight to it. And on the A7C it balances lovely. There's a nice balance on there. I've got no problems with how that balances and the weight of that. I can walk around all day long with this lens and not feel fatigued. And interestingly, I'm really pleased with the grip of the A7C with this lens. I do find on a lot of the lenses, the camera, the lens rubs against the hand, rubs against the knuckles. But this lens, it doesn't. It's really comfortable, so I'm happy with that. It'd be interesting to see how well it is with the A7R3, because that's a slightly bigger grip. It's a bigger camera body, so it'd be very interesting to see how I get on with it with that particular body. And we'll do a second review where I talk about how I get on with it with that particular camera body. So that's one way they've been able to reduce the size of the lenses, making the aperture range more narrow, but also it hasn't got image stabilization. So the image stabilization, as I said earlier, is reliant on your camera body. Again, if they put image stabilization in the lens, that would have made it more expensive and it would have made it bigger and heavier. But it's a nicely made lens, good quality lens. It has got weather sealing, so there is a weather gasket on the lens. Let me show you that. So on the lens here, there is a black gasket that goes around the mount of the lens, so it is weather sealed. That is great. and as I say, it's 70-300. Now, if you used it in APS-C mode, either on a full frame body, let me put that back on, or on an APS-C camera, you're looking at 105 to 450. What a great telephoto range that is. That is really good. Now, if I put the A7C into APS-C mode, which I can do quite easily because I've pre-assigned a function button on the back of the camera. On the back of the camera here, I've set that button up to set that into APS-C mode. So that will be then 105 to 450. Great for wildlife, great for birding, great for sports. But the downside on the A7C, that cuts that down to about 10 megapixels. So you wouldn't be able to do much cropping, if any, you know. That's another reason why I want to try it on my A7Riii, because that's a 42 megapixel sensor camera. And that'll take that down to about 18 megapixels. So that's more than adequate. You can even do cropping with that. So I'm really, really excited about that, trying it with that. But we'll have a quick look at the images. I'm not going to go into detail on the images because, as I say, with YouTube, there really isn't a great deal of point. But let's have a look at the images. Actually, before we do, this lens here, the 70-300, is in the same range as the other Tamron lenses. Now, I've got three of them. I've got the Tamron 70-28, which is this one here. Again, no image stabilization in the lens, but it's a constant f2.8 aperture with internal focusing. Great sharpness, great lens. There will be a link up here somewhere to my review of the 17-28, and I think that's a great lens. I've also got the 28-75, which is this one here. Again, a constant f2.8 aperture, no image stabilization. This seems to be a theme with Tamron, is not putting lens stabilization in the lens, and I think that's a great move from their point of view, because it does keep the lenses at a better price and it keeps them compact. But that's a constant f2.8 aperture, although it does trombone as you zoom. But again, I'm loving the optics of the Tamron lenses. And I've got my Tamron 20mm prime lens, again f2.8, fitted to my A7Riii, which is picking up the wide shot you know, of this scene. Me close-up shot you see there is my Sony A7C with the 85mm lens, and that's in full frame mode on the A7C at the back there. And then the close-ups picking up on the my trustworthy little ZV-1, which I really love, the ZV-1. Now these images, let's have a quick look at these images. Let's go back to the beginning. I'm using Luminar AI for looking at these images. I find it's a great bit of software, really cost effective. You can do cataloging with it, although Luminar 4 is probably the better bit of software if you want to catalog your images. It's very similar to how Lightroom works. Interestingly, I'm loving this software. I did purchase it, but if I have got a link, again, I'll put it in the description below. You can download the trial version of Luminar 4 and Luminar AI, have a play with them, see what you think. I mean, if you do decide to buy it, use the code AVP when you check out and you get $10 off your price. So you get a tenner off. And it's a great alternative to Lightroom, saves you having to pay the, you know, Adobe subscription fee. I still use Lightroom, I'll be honest, mainly for uploading to Flickr, because you can upload directly to Flickr from Lightroom. If it wasn't for that feature, I wouldn't need Lightroom. That's all I use it for. I do all my editing in Luminar AI, because it's really good, and it's got the same sort of zooming in features and whatever. But you know, the colours that are coming off the 70-300 are great, and they're sharp. This lens is really sharp. It takes a few seconds for the computer to render the image, but actually it's pretty quick. And this is an old iMac, it's not a top of the range iMac. And again, that's testimony to how good Luminar AI and Luminar 4 is on these old Macs. It's still really snappy and really fast. But yeah, a great lens. Colours are lovely. The bokeh rendition is really good. It's nice and smooth. The background is a nice smooth bokeh. It's lovely. And again, the animal AI. Now the Sony cameras have got great animal AI, and animal AI and human AI, and I've pre-assigned a function button to switch between the two. So here I've used it to pick up Molly's Molly's face, and it's lovely and sharp. I don't know how sharp it's looking here, but I can assure you they really are sharp images. Again, you look at the colours here and the background out of focus area. It's picking up the leaves beautifully. So, great lens. And the fun thing with Luminar, whether it be Luminar 4 or Luminar AI, it's got all the editing features you would find in any of these editing programs. But I love this sky feature, artificial intelligence used to replace the sky, and it takes a matter of seconds. There's hundreds and hundreds of skies you can choose, and it only takes seconds to replace it. So and there we go. So we've got a completely different sky in a matter of seconds, even on a slower computer. So yeah, I can highly recommend Luminar AI. Again, if you look at the sharpness of how this lens has picked up these pigeons, really good. And again, in APS-C mode or on an APS-C camera, you're looking at 105 to 400 and a pretty reasonably compact. It is very compact, 545 grams, so it's not heavy. A nice compact lens. And I say, paired with the A7C, the whole system is compact, isn't it? It's great, yeah, I'm really enjoying the lens. There's no buttons or switches on the lens. It's very streamlined, and it has got your manual focus ring here. Now, I've not done manual focusing. I tend not to run. I very rarely use manual focus. It is focused by wire, so it's electronic focusing. It will be accurate once you've got the focus point, but I don't know how fast it is at getting your focus point. But it has got, as I say, the manual focus ring if you desire to use it. With Sony's accuracy, with autofocus, I've never had the need to even think about using manual focus, and particularly with its animal AI and human AI, I got it right that time, animal AI and human AI, I don't think you'll ever need to. The only thing that I do find though, it hasn't got a lock for the zoom. So if you've got it in your camera bag, upside down like that, it may drift, the zoom may drift, I don't know. I have found that it does drift a little bit, but not a big deal. But it would be nice to have had a lock on the actual zoom lens. But there we go, that's the Tamron 70-300. I hope you found this useful. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so, and if you like the content of my video, please hit the like button. I'm getting some really good feedback and some really good comments now, and please leave comments. It helps me grow the channel as well. I don't know how the YouTube algorithm works from that point of view, but it does, and it's really good. So thanks very much for watching, and stay tuned for the second review of the the Tamron 70-300 on my A7R3. So once again, thanks very much for watching, and stay tuned for more videos relating to video and photography. And don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to download the trial version of Luminar 4 and Luminar AI, and use the code AVP to get $10 off if you really like it. I think you really will enjoy using it. Thanks very much. See you again soon. Bye.